Belichick's lost a step to me.
I'm not going to do this.
This is Anik Squared.
What is up? It is Anik Squared, episode 15. It is Tuesday, November 13th, 2022. My name is Jason Anik, joined by my identical twin brother, the UFC broadcaster, Jon Anik. You know, it's interesting for you not to be in, like, the host seat. And we'll get into Las Vegas. I know, welcome back. I know you had a long week. But interesting for you to be in the two seats. Like, you don't know what to do with yourself sitting over there. Maybe we should let you drive the bus one week, huh?
It's kind of nice not being in that driver's seat. I'm not talking about pigeons driving buses. But, yeah, I mean, it's very rare that I get to be in the analyst seat. And certainly I don't sit professing to be some sort of great NFL analyst, right? But I get to be a UFC analyst after the pay-per-views now. I sit on the end of the desk, and I'm sort of in a little bit of a hybrid role, which is kind of nice. But I have a new computer, courtesy of the UFC, on which I record all of my audio. And hopefully the camera looks better. Seems as though our producer, Zach Phillips, believes that I look a little bit cleaner this week, and it's not because I'm overslept. So stayed up late watching the New England Patriots last night. That Arizona outfit, you know, first play for me next week. Broncos laying whatever against that Arizona outfit, reactionary or otherwise. How do you bet that Arizona team right now? I mean, my goodness, I don't know if they've given up or not. Troy Aikman at one point on the broadcast was like, yeah, it's kind of tough. We're 4-8, you know, sort of playing out the string, so to speak, coming to work every day. Man, I mean, they look like they've given up. Like they don't want to injure their shoulder going for a tackle on the goal line. I mean, what are we doing?
Well, I like that you jumped right into that game, and we'll certainly get into that game because, unfortunately, there were certain spots in which we had the Cardinals. But anyway, welcome back, Vegas. So I was able to join you, UFC 282, last pay-per-view of the year. I was able to join you for the last 48 hours. Nothing like being right there. Got to be happy for you to be home and focus on the holidays a little bit. I know there's never really too much downtime, but I expect the National Football League will get a little more of your focus over the next couple weeks than it has.
Well, I should be better. But yeah, always good to get that last pay-per-view in the can because this is the only thing that would amount to an off season for the UFC. We get a couple weeks here and a couple weeks at the beginning of January to sort of reset to whatever degree. Quick story. So I brought home these gummy bears for my daughter, right? They were in like a champagne bottle, part of the mini bar at Resorts World. By the way, what a great hotel. Oh, 5-star pillows, 5-star blankets, 5-star towels. I'd imagine the robe was 5 stars. Bilal Muhammad's girlfriend suggests that the robe is 5 stars, right?
Exactly.
So I bring home these gummy bears, and my daughter happened to be going on some trip with her 6th grade class. So it's like, oh, I'll bring the gummy bears. Great. She goes up to pack the gummy bears, and my wife comes down, and she's like, Jonathan, these are champagne gummy bears.
No way.
And I'm like, this is how people go to prison. You give the children champagne gummy bears, and they take them on the bus, give them to their friend, and then they're hammered on the bus.
Unbelievable.
Right? And I'm in jail. You know, UFC play-by-play announcer is a convicted felon for, you know, giving alcohol to a minor willingly, right? But here's the rub. They're non-alcoholic gummy bears, of course, right? But so for about 90 seconds, I'm freaking out because my wife suggests that I've given my daughter alcohol, like alcohol edibles at 11 years old, right? Which was not the case, right? So they bring them down to me and I'm freaking out. And then I see non-alcoholic on the bottle, right? So several hours evaporate and my daughter sort of said, oh, well, Daddy, give me these interesting gummy bears. And it's like, no, Daddy gave you champagne flavored non-alcoholic gummy bears. Daddy didn't do anything, right? But Mommy sort of created this narrative. And now it's like, Daddy's giving you interesting things, right? So you can be sure that she goes on the bus and says, oh, so my daddy gave me these gummy bears. It's like, no, man, no. Right. I mean, they're just champagne flavored gummy bears that my 9-year-old has no problem ingesting. So be careful, folks. Be careful out there.
Love it. Anyone who hasn't seen Anik Squared before, each week we pick 5 games in the National Football League against the spread and against each other. Our ultimate goal is to get our picks ready for the Circa Pro Football Contest. We'll get into that in a little bit, but each week for the Pro Football Contest, we submit 5 picks against the spread together, joint entry. So we'll get into our picks from last week. So going into last week, you had a 3-game lead. I went 4-1 last week. You went 1-4. The 3-game lead is erased. We are tied. Nothing to write home about, but I'm happy to be there. I'll go through my 4-1 quickly. you talked about the game last night, the Cardinals-Patriots. We will get into that game because I do want to get into a couple things. You're harping all about that game. I want to chime in on that. But my 4-1, the one game I lost, Steelers -2.5 versus the Ravens. Quarterback gets injured. It is what it is. Kenny Pickett. I don't know if they would have won that game either way. Close game. Didn't score enough points is what it is. The 4 hits, Jets +9.5 at the Bills. That was a little bit lucky. They had a late field goal to cut it to 8. The Lions -2.5 versus the Vikings. We'll take it all day. The surging Detroit Lions. 49ers -3.5 versus the Buccaneers. That was out. And finally, Chargers +3.5 versus the night game. Sunday night, they win the football game outright. So that's the 4-1. We're even now. Talk about the 1-4, bro.
Well, I just want to focus on the 2 games that we went head-to-head, and you beat me on both of these. So the Bills, probably too many points to be laying within the division. And I think sometimes I talk out of both sides of my mouth on that, right? Like in the NFC for sure. And maybe there's no high-octane offense in some of those equations. But I'm always talking about, give me all those points within division. Even this weekend, I'm a little bit tantalized by the New York Giants, as bad an outfit as that is, getting points against the Washington Commanders because it's in division and they just tied. But even if you want to suggest that the Bills should have gotten home, they didn't. And it's a lot of points within division. And the Bills did not go run and hide. And hopefully that's a kid in the bathtub and not somebody coming in here trying to take everything I've worked for. And then the Buccaneers just find a better game on the board than fading the best defense in football. So I can't get out of my own way right now. Very much excited to spin it forward. I'm locked out of the account in which I gamble in. I don't even owe my guy that much money. Things aren't going very well. I'm spiraling out of control right now.
All right. So the one game you did hit, I will say Bengals -6 versus the Browns.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta love that. Looking to play that. That was a play for me Sunday morning. So either way, we're tied heading into week 15. Let's get into the circa $1,000,004 pro football contest picks real quick. You waved the white flag in a text message to me. So a 1-4 for us last week. Steelers -2.5, pick it out, whatever. Close game. I did lay off this in the book. We did hit the Bengals -5.5. That was the only game I played. If I'm Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, I want none of this Cincinnati outfit coming to town or going there. I'm telling you, I couldn't be higher on the Bengals right now. And then these two, Titans -3.5 and Seahawks -3.5. There was a reason why the Titans number wasn't bigger. They're just, you're a 3.5 point favorite at home. If you're a really good team, that should be higher. And the Seahawks -3.5 hosting Carolina. Both their top 2 running backs out. That's just, these teams at -3.5 at home. There's a reason why they're -3.5 at home. And then the Bucks +3.5. I was on San Francisco. That's you, dog. I wanted the Eagles -6 to be our last selection. So that's on you. But that's our 1-4. We're now 35, 32, and 3. White flag is raised. 3 games over 500. Another year not getting paid in that pro football contest. Am I wrong?
Well, so now the focus shifts on making it, I think, 5 straight years in which we're over 500, which is not the goal going in. But let's just try to finish strong. Try to put a couple of 5-0s back to back, and then you just never know. But
so I don't know if you have anything from week 14 in the NFL before we get into week 15, but I have to just shout out a couple unfortunate rest in peace. Grant Wahl, the renowned Sports Illustrated reporter covering the World Cup, passed away. I won't get into details of all these stories. And then Mike Leach, head coach of Mississippi State, who anyone, whether you're a college football fan or not, just I think you've come across his personality in this viral world in which we live, and just seemed like a couple special men in the sports world. And I don't know, man, those both hit me pretty good.
Oh, man, it does seem like as you get older, it just seems like every other day you're mourning the passing of somebody that has had a profound impact on you or a host full of others. So, yeah, sad couple days. No doubt about it.
Yep. So anything from you in week 14 before we move forward to week 15 in the NFL?
No, I mean, I would candidly, UFC pay-per-view grabbed a lot of my attention and then came off the red eye. So I'm prepared for today's show, but I haven't watched a ton of NFL football. I did watch the entire Monday Night Football game. Little Gatorade carried me through. And
hey, I heard John Gruden was in the building. I didn't see him. Was John Gruden in the building for UFC 282? Former Las Vegas Raiders head coach.
Picture with Dominic Cruz, but I didn't see him.
Yeah, if you know Patty Pimblett, who was on the co-main event, if him and John Gruden picture next to each other would have been nice with those blonde wigs. Anyway, let's move forward to the week 15 head-to-head selections. I'm going to lead it off this week after a 4-1, 1-4 for you. We're tied, baby. And keep in mind, if I go with the team, you can't go on that same side. You got to go opposite side or pick another game. All right. My first selection is on Thursday night. We're continuing to roll with the San Francisco 49ers -3.5 at the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle hasn't been good defensively. Carolina ran all over them, 223 yards. Seattle only ran for 46. I don't think Kenneth Walker's coming back. You know, if he couldn't play Sundays, he really playing Thursday, still banged up. This guy Purdy looking solid. You know, you beat Tampa Bay 35-7, Tom Brady in town. I just don't think they give it back that quick. Seattle is kind of rounding into the form of who they thought they would be, frankly. Not that good a football team. I think San Francisco wins 7 in a row. It's not that big a number. I think, so Seattle, they go to the Chiefs next week. So I think they lose both these. I think they continue to fade away. My first pick, San Francisco -3.5.
I might circle back and take Seattle. If I were to fall on a side, it would be Seattle. I know the injury report doesn't look great, but I'm not just going to fall off after a week. I still believe in Geno Smith. You're still talking about a divisionally relevant game. Brock Purdy might not even play. Is Josh Johnson the next best thing? I mean, I believe there's a rib injury that Brock Purdy's dealing with, and short week, generally speaking, home underdogs have fared well. So there's a chance that I will circle back to Seattle if I'm even allowed to do that. And you know what? I think I am. I think I'm actually allowed to do that, incidentally. So
do it.
My first selection, however square, is going to be the Minnesota Vikings laying 4 against the Indianapolis Colts. This is a Saturday game, and it's just a belief that the Minnesota offense is going to outlast the Indianapolis offense, even indoors. I know the Colts are coming off the bye week, but I don't know, man. I just think there's a lot of noise surrounding the Colts, and I do think the Minnesota Vikings have a lot of film with which to work, probably smarting after what happened against the Detroit Lions. So I'm going to just lay the price, and foundationally, I really like Minnesota on the money line. I'm not going to lay that price, so I'm going to kind of cover my nose and lay the 4. The price was going to be richer for me earlier in the week, 5 or so. So I will take the Minnesota Vikings on Saturday against Jeff Saturday. Minnesota -4 against Indiana.
I like that side too. My second pick, the Falcons +4.5 at the Saints. The Desmond Ridder era begins. 3rd round pick out of Cincinnati. He can run a little bit too. Mariota benched. So the Falcons have lost 4 and 5. And to me, similar to the Seahawks, kind of rounding into who that we thought they would be. Cordell Patterson's a difference maker for me. I know they burned me at Washington a couple weeks back. They should have won the football game. But I don't think they're tanking here. You know, Dennis Allen's still going with Andy Dalton, I believe, unless there's something I don't know about. I don't know how up for this game the Saints are. I think the Falcons will get up for this rookie making his debut. Give me the Falcons +4.5 at the Saints, my second pick.
All right, next play for me, Saturday. I believe it's a Saturday game. The Baltimore Ravens +3 at Cleveland. First home game for Deshaun Watson. Hasn't played particularly well on the road. I expect a big motivated effort from Cleveland, and I'm still not sure it's going to be enough. We don't know who's going to be under center for Baltimore to play on John Harbaugh. 11-3 in Cleveland, straight up against the Browns. Overall series numbers even better for the Ravens against the Browns. Getting 3 right now. It was 2.5. I like the number. I like the franchise. And Baltimore, generally speaking, finds a way to win these games. They're still relevant when it comes to the division, and we'll see what happens as far as the injury report is concerned. But sitting here early in the week, as I am expected to do on a Tuesday on Anik Squared, Ravens +3. And I think it'll probably end up on my card this weekend, however square.
Yeah, I think I probably go the other way there. I think Deshaun Watson finally plays a good football game. My third selection, and I still can't believe I'm doing it. And I saw this as a pick 'em, so I'm going to leave it there. The Lions at the Jets. I'm going with the Detroit Lions at the Jets. That has to give a little smirk.
+1. +1.
All right, I'll take the point. So Mike White's probably going to play. Any chance you saw the blast to his midsection? The highlight of that?
I did not.
Across? Bro, like I can't believe he doesn't have shattered ribs. I can't believe he's playing. But meanwhile, the juggernaut that's the Detroit Lions, who are 6-7, let's get to 500, man. The fighting Dan Campbell's. I mean, I always think, who do I want money on Sunday morning? And I definitely think they go in there and have a great chance to win the football game. So Jared Goff this year, 22 touchdowns, 7 picks. Good stuff, right? Aaron Rodgers and Brady had ridiculous stretches in their career where they just really didn't turn the ball over a lot, didn't throw a lot of picks. Jared Goff's last interception, November 6th versus Green Bay. That matters. And nothing would make me happier than seeing the Lions go in there, beat the Jets for the Patriots' sake. And as much as I don't believe in the Patriots, I'd still love them to get in the postseason, even if it means getting blown out by the Chiefs. My third selection, the Detroit Lions at the Jets +1.
So I'm so conflicted on a lot of these. Dolphins +7.5 Saturday in primetime at Buffalo is very tempting. But then I see the Chicago Bears catching 9 points at home against Philadelphia. And do I want to take the home dog there, or do I want to take Miami with some of the unknown intangibles in Buffalo? Right? I know I want one of those two big underdogs. I don't necessarily want both of them. Third straight road game for Miami. Stayed on the West Coast, lost both games. Pretty big ask, right? To come back to the Florida sun that you see hitting my fat mug right now, and then to have to go to Buffalo. But I'm going to take the Dolphins. And I think that Tyreek Hill, even though Buffalo's sole goal is going to be to shut him down, is still going to be heard from. You're through a key number, at least right now as I see this. So Dolphins +7.5 at Buffalo, which means I got a lot of action coming up here on an NFL Saturday. Yikes.
My fourth selection, the Cincinnati Bengals -3.5 at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Tampa Bay is the worst team in the NFL against the spread at 3-9-1, juxtaposed to the Cincinnati outfit, the best at 10-3. I've been drinking the Bengals Kool-Aid since week 3 when they're 0-2 and they're going into the Jets, and Burrow, who's just such a smooth cat, is just like, we'll be all right. And I believe every word of it. And I alluded to that on this podcast. Just two teams going in very different directions. That 3.5 point spread, which burned us last week twice. We bet on home teams 3.5, right? If you're a road team at 3.5, that means you're favored, whether it's 7, 8, 9 at home. How many points would the Bengals be favored by at home this week against the Buccaneers, who just got smoked against San Francisco? You see Brady and Mike Evans jarring a little bit on the sidelines. It's just not going well there. Brady shaking a lot of hands in San Francisco. We talked about that for 2 consecutive weeks on this show about him, going to San Francisco next year. But I'm just going with a 3.5 road dog here. I just think Brady's still getting too much respect in Vegas. I might like Cincinnati to come out of the AFC. I can't get enough of this team. Give me Cincinnati -3.5, my fourth pick.
All right. As we get to our next selection, number 4 out of 5, I will go with the New England Patriots -1 at the Las Vegas Raiders. Probably the only time I've been on the Pats all year, maybe once prior. I like Bill Belichick to stick it to Joshua McDaniels a little bit here at Allegiant Stadium, just off the Las Vegas Strip. Patriots are already there. Got to think Belichick told them to enjoy Sin City a little bit. Crowd up those cannabis dispensary lines, fellas, and then put it on the Vegas Raiders. Man, the Patriots defensive line looked pretty good. I mean, say what you want about Arizona, an outfit that we're going to look to fade here shortly, but I don't know. Those Patriots are after it, getting after it. Chasing Pro Bowls, if not Super Bowls. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I like the special teams. The backup punter finally is starting to come around. I do think the Patriots left some points on the board last week, and I think they'll be able to shut down either Josh Jacobs or Devontae Adams. I don't know exactly who they're going to prioritize, but I think New England is just a better team. They really are. And hopefully that factored into people's handicap last week when you were doing New England at Arizona. I think the Patriots get 2 on the West Coast trip, and I will lay the 1. I mean, they're all still really playing hard, trying hard. I know you can say the same about Vegas. Vegas getting a few extra days, but their season evaporated with that loss to the Raiders, to the Rams 17-16. So give me New England -1 at Vegas.
Yeah, you might have sold me on that side. I wasn't playing, and I had that Raiders -1. So you're saying it's Patriots -1 now.
I'll check it out.
No.
We want the.
I
trying to get the best number here, folks.
I wasn't playing the Raiders. Don't get it twisted. But if
New England -1.
If I had to pick one side of that game, I'd be going on McDaniels. McDaniels wants to beat Belichick too, and I think he's got the offense. The Patriots don't even throw the ball down. They don't throw the ball down the field. Well, the Arizona defensive coordinator alluded to it this week prior to the game, and they still didn't throw downfield. You don't get that you don't get that defensive touchdown. The Patriots,
Hunter Henry caught a 39-yarder down the seam, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was one. Anyway, my fifth pick. I saw this at 2.5. I don't want to call them Los Angeles, so I'm going to call them the San Diego Chargers -2.5 versus the Tennessee Titans at home. I like the small number for the home team. Both teams 7-6. Titans obviously a different path to the postseason, win their division. They got a 2-game lead on Jacksonville right now. Jacksonville has Dallas coming to town. Titans have lost 3 in a row. I think Joey Bosa might be coming back from the IR. Hasn't played since week 3. Groin surgery. He's supposed to practice tomorrow. If Joey Bosa plays, I like the Chargers even more now. I just think the Chargers go to 8-6 here. And it's been a tough year for the Chargers, but they've sort of steadied the ship a little bit. For me, the Titans, even if they lose this game, they still have a very clear path to win their division. I just think there's more at stake for the Chargers. I think they're a better team. I hate to fade Mike Vrabel. I think he'll have his guys motivated. I think the Chargers are the better team. My final pick, Chargers -2.5 versus the Titans.
So sometimes it's hard, given the week-to-week nature of the NFL, to handicap a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars. They will perpetually let me down, and then they go into Tennessee, and they beat the Titans in 2.5 quarters, and the game's over. So I want to play Jacksonville +4.5 or +5 as I sit here home to the Dallas Cowboys. I like them as a home underdog. I can almost assure you come Sunday, I'm going to have a ticket on Jacksonville. But as I sit here trying to beat your ass head-to-head and try to avoid the fate of doing 5 shots in 30 minutes, not because I can't do that, but just because I'd like to avoid that fate, I don't want to fade the Dallas Cowboys because their explosivity just really scares me. I think they have a chance to score on most possessions. I don't believe that about the Arizona Cardinals, so I'm going to play the Denver Broncos -2.5 home to Arizona. Brandon McManus is going to factor prominently in this game. Saw your boy Matty Prater miss a kick the other night, which is a little bit uncharacteristic for him. Hasn't had a lot of field goal attempts this year. I just like Denver on the home turf. I like the offensive response last week against Kansas City. I do think that Russell Wilson and Jerry Jeudy with the connection may be feeling good about themselves a little bit, but really just a straight Arizona fade here. The number is key, under a field goal. I just think Arizona has effectively given up. And even if Budda Baker hasn't, it seems like a lot of them around him have. And I know Colt McCoy gets rid of the ball quickly, and I know they have playmakers, DeAndre Hopkins, obviously, but I don't know. I like Denver's ability to control clock and control game. And given the short price, given the short week for Arizona, Broncos -2.5 to round out my 5 for week 15 already, huh? 15?
You see Russell Wilson's concussion?
Oh, no. Who's the backup? I couldn't even tell you the backup. Let's go Denver, though.
So it's Brett Rippon, who I think it was It's Mark Rippon, threw an absolute bullet. So, so you didn't see Russell Wilson's concussion, right?
Certainly not. I saw Chris Dawkins' concussion at UFC 282.
That's funny. So Russell Wilson, and he had a little egg, a little hematoma, if you will, in his head. But no, it's
that actually will help his public approval rating.
Well, but anyway, that's not nice. But anyway, I find it's the helmets hitting the ground, bro. These concussions, like when you had both your concussions, both it was your head hitting the ground, man. Those are, I understand you get blasted, these head-to-heads you have to avoid, and that can beat it up too. But these concussions, man, I feel like I see when those heads hit the ground, it's almost like the concussions happen so often, you know?
Yeah, it's a violent game. It really is crazy. It really is crazy. The speed at which these guys get going. Yeah, we don't need to talk about that, though.
No, and I know I did rest in peace in the concussion, but yeah, you're talking about Russell Wilson. I wanted to make sure you knew that it was going to be the backup. Anyway, yeah, week 15 coming, cannonball coming in the NFL.
I might like the Broncos even more now.
Dude, no, I get it. I'm with you.
Kid
looked good.
I might go play it, like not now, but right now because of the kid. You know,
I get it. Playing for each other, and but Russell Wilson, it was when he got concussed, it was a tremendous. But
when I say it helps his public approval rating, I'm not taking a shot, but I just think, oh, look at a guy, you know, he's got a hematoma on his head. You tough it out for the boys, you know. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't, and maybe I shouldn't say public. I should say private approval rating, the approval rating amongst his teammates, which seemingly gets called into question all the time.
Well put. We appreciate everyone joining us on Anik Squared. 15 in the books. We'll be back next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, week 16. For Zach Phillips producing this, my brother Jon Anik, my name is Jason Anik. We'll see you next week. Yo. Bye.